Start us off.
Yeah, I knew you were coming to this. Aside from that touchdown in the third quarter, the defense seemed to shut down MTSU pretty much the entire game. What kind of football were you guys?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest things we talked about, we need to be able to start fast. And I certainly think we were able to do that. I think Coach Stockstill and his team, and particularly his offense, do a great job, and his offensive staff. But I was really proud of our group. I think we had started the game with a number of different 3-and-outs, and then we're able to get a takeaway early on there, and being able to use takeaways again to get us points. Our offense was able to score off of some of those and be able to help us. I think the biggest drastic improvement was really just being able to get off the field on third down. We were right around 70% in that phase, and we did a nice job of being able to, again, they got some yards, they have a good offense, they have good players, they have good coaches, but once the ball really got inside the plus 30 in the fringe and into the high red area, we really did a nice job with our guys being able to force field goals and had a takeaway or two in there. But we were 2 of 3, once we got into the high red. So I think all those things are really important. They were right around 130 or 140 yards, going into halftime, and I thought our players played really well, played hard. You could tell they had frustrated from the week before so a lot of marked improvement. So anyway, I was really proud of our guys. I thought Bryson Washington, what a story. He's a sixth-year senior. Has been put on scholarship here the last couple of years, but it was his first start. He winds up with 2 takeaways. I don't know how many tackles he had. He played 2 or 3 different positions for us throughout the game. So really, really just proud for Bryson, and he's a great example of a young man. In the world today where we have so many players kind of coming in and out of our program, a guy that's stuck through it for 6 years. Bleeds red and black, and is able to have a lot of success in his first game as a starter. So I'm really, really proud for him.
As a coach, like seeing your guys being able to go out there and execute, whether you throw them into the game, like you said, first start, or guys that really haven't seen much action, and being able to take what is discipline and practice and be able to apply it to the field, and that's to do with it.
Yeah, it is. We've we've talked about it a lot. Just we want to play a lot of players. We want to have guys ready to go. There was a point in the game, late in the first half, but through the portions of it where a guy like Nazir Ward, freshman corner in the game, and having to be in a position where he sits there and plays a lot. So I think as many guys as we can play, it helps us stay healthy, and I think it gets us ready. With some of the different packages that we have and personnel groupings that we use. But, I am really, really proud of our group. I mean, the last 2 weeks, I feel like we have had an incredible amount of improvement. And if we can stay on that track and we can continue to kind of be good in the phases and the areas we talked about with third down, with the red area, and if we can continue to get takeaways and some 3-and-outs, we'll have a chance to continue to be successful. He's played a lot early for us, and he's a guy that we feel like, again, is one of our 5 or 6 best DBs, and again has done a lot of different good things for us. We're just looking for an opportunity for him to be able to get on the field and him to be able to sit there and play. And like I said, he's done a lot of good things throughout the year, and I think you'll see him playing a lot this week moving forward.
So he wasn't injured or anything, it was just a coach's decision?
Yeah, I hadn't ever really spoken on the injuries before, so I'd rather not.
See the offense jump out to the 20-point lead in the first half. What kind of swagger and confidence does that give the defense to kind of go out there and just play 1-3?
Yeah, well, I think if you look back, and again, I can't speak to anything kind of before I got here, but when we have an opportunity to play with the lead, I think we've done a great job as a football team. I think Coach Helton does a tremendous job being able to manage the game and give us opportunities defensively. As a play caller, playing with the lead is huge. Because when our offense plays well, it forces the opponent offense to play pretty one-handed. And when teams are having to be into that mode, and it gives us a chance, to sometimes bring 6, sometimes bring 7, sometimes we drop 3. 3. We dropped, or excuse me, sometimes we only rush 3. We dropped 9, I think, 3 times the other night. So playing with the league gives us an opportunity to kind of open up a whole new tool belt of things we can do. And anyway, again, I thought our offense played really well, special teams played well, and it's a collective effort. We're all trying to really, play together and play complementary football, and it's a good team win.
Offensively, what is Louisiana Tech presented for you?
Yeah, well, I think a couple different things. The first thing that jumps out to me is the quarterback that they've had, Hank Brockmeyer, that was able to come in from Boise State. He's a good player. He's been out the last 2 weeks and a quarter. Jack Turner's come in and played really, really well for them as a quarterback. So those are both guys that are running a similar system, obviously, but have a totally different skill set. And Hank does a great job, has good arms, played a lot of football through his career, and I expect him to play. We're getting ready for both guys. I expect him to play. Really, really smart, throws a good ball, and really has control. He knows where all 22 people are on every snap. Jack comes in, does a great job, kind of leading them back versus North Texas in the fourth quarter a couple of weeks ago. Comes in, and I can't remember if it was 24 or 21 points that he's able to get in the fourth quarter alone. Brings a spark to them, plays well at Nebraska the next week, and played really well the other night. Does a great job with his deep ball, uses his legs, is smart. They have really 4 or 5 different running backs that are good players. They've had 2 that have been injured, again, for the last 2 or 3 weeks. We expect to see those guys as well. I think those guys are talented, do a great job. Their receiver room is really, really, really good. It kind of, starts with 2 different guys. Smoke Harris is the top guy for them. He's a slot. Really fast. He opened up the game last week with a punt return for a touchdown. He hits a screen and goes for 60 to tie the ball game up in the fourth quarter versus North Texas. They find a lot of ways to get him the ball. Every type of screen you can have, he gets it. They start him off in the backfield. They start him off at the Z. They start him off at the X. They motion him every which way you can. They have a really good outside receivers. One really jumps out to you, Cyrus. 9, who's been injured. 88, that's been injured, are all guys that can really play. 16 is a good player as well. I think the receiver room has a lot of depth. I think the receiver room makes a lot of plays. The offensive line is tied at the hip, do really, really well together. They've been running the ball a lot more the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I think you see them being able to create push and problems for defensive line and for linebackers. But their ability, they're at the end of the day, they're an air raid team that figures out how to win football games. They've been able to play really well the last couple of weeks, and I think they're only getting better. So they create a lot of problems.
Another big individual effort, TK last week.
Yeah.
Kind of tell me about his game.
Yeah, TK's, again, kind of like we've talked about with some of the other guys, is a great story. TK, is a transfer to us from Artisan Brodus, and the school wound up, not having football or school this year. So he comes to us, got here in the summer, had a good summer when he came. He got injured, right before the first game of the year and had to sit out the first 2 or 3 weeks, but just continued to stay in all of our walkthroughs, ask questions, continue to get better. He's really only played in the last game or 2, but has really been a big part of what we've been doing. And he's made a lot of plays, a lot of tackles. He finishes the game out with the interception the other night. He's an amazing kid. He's from New Orleans originally, and I just thrilled to be able to have him. He is explosive. He can run. He can cover. He can blitz. So, and he's a good, positive attitude. He's been a good guy to be able to have in the room with the defense. Practices hard. Very unselfish guy. So I look for him to be able to continue to have a big year.
He was at Kansas.
He was at Kansas before Artisan Brodus.
At Artisan Brodus, they just disbanded the program there, right?
Yes, sir. I couldn't tell you exactly how he wound up there. Like you said, so he's an interesting story because, like I said, he's from New Orleans originally, goes to Kansas as a wide receiver. And my understanding is that as a wideout, he did such a good job on their special teams. He was a special teams demon for them. Eventually, he wound up going to corner. I think eventually wound up going to safety. Eventually wound up going to nickel. And for whatever reason, he wound up at Artisan Brodus. And fortunately, he wound up here with us.